Hello there and welcome back to Stuff in Excel, where we try to give you step-by-step, very detailed instructions on how to do the things in Excel that you want to do but just don't know how to do. So what we're going to do in this video is take a look at how to insert a slicer into a pivot table. Now before we do that, let's talk about what a slicer is. So within pivot tables you have filters and slicers. Now a filter allows you to do a drop-down menu on any one of the variables. For example, I can go do over here on state and I can simply choose which states I want to use. That would be a filter. A slicer it does a similar function, but the beauty of a slicer is if you have multiple pivot tables on the same screen at the same time, for instance in a dashboard, you can use a slicer and connect all those tables to the same slicer, so that if you change one variable, you use that slicer to filter out certain things, it changes all of the visualizations at the same time. So slicers are really, really powerful, and they're a really great tool to use when we're using a pivot table. So let's just go look and see how we would do this. Now the first thing we have to do is convert this table here to a pivot table. So I've got a table of data, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click anywhere in the table. I'm going to go up to the top of the screen where it says insert, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert and click on pivot table. It's going to ask me where I want it. We're going to put it on a new worksheet. We can name this anything we want to name it, and of course you can always change the name. We'll just leave it for table 1 for now, and we hit OK, and it's going to create this pivot table on another screen. Now at this point we don't have anything in the pivot table. It's just the format. We haven't actually set anything up. So let's set up by company, and let's set it up. We're going to put over 30. We're going to put over 60. Over 90, whoop, grab it, there we go, over 120, and let's put current in there, and then we got to drag current up to the top, and then we'll actually put total owed down in there as well. And let's see if it got in there. I didn't, so let's just stick it down here. There it goes. So now total owed is in there as well. So this is almost replicating what we had before. I don't have state and region in there, but I could certainly always add those if I wanted to. Now, what we would want to do next is insert a slicer into this and create one. It's very simple to do. We're simply going to click anywhere in the table, and we're going to go up to Pivot Table Analyze, and we're going to go over here to Insert Slicer. It's about in the middle of the ribbon up here. We're going to hit Insert Slicer. It's going to ask us what we want to do. We want to do a slicer for state. Now again, we could have done this as a filter, but we want to do it as a slicer because we want some additional capabilities that we might not have otherwise. When we create this slicer, it creates its own little box, its own little filter box. And what's really nice about it is I can actually format this box if I want to, and I can put it anywhere on the screen that I want to. I can put it way over here to the right, I can put it down at the bottom, I can put it anywhere I want to put it. And so we can set this thing up so that we can look at individual slicers. We can look, if we hit use control, we could hit just the ones we want to look at. We could hit, if we wanted to, we could, like I said, just do one state. If we hit the filter button up here at the top, it'll put it back to all the states. The multi-select is over here. You can click on that, and that allows you to. Right now, I'm turning them off. But if you didn't have, let's say you only had one selected. Actually, let me turn that off. And let's say we had all of them. Let's say we only had one selected, and we wanted to go to multi-select. We just hit that, and then we can select what we want. We do the same thing if we're in the just regular mode, and we have one, and we just hold down Control. It'll do exactly the same thing. So a really powerful way to use your slicers. Let's go see other things we might be able to do with slicers. Another important thing to recognize about slicers is that slicers can work together to give you additional capabilities. So I'm going to add another slicer here. Click over here in this pivot table, and I'm going to go over, hit Pivot Analyze, go to Insert Slicer, and now I'm going to insert a slicer for region. So So I put that one in, and we've got two slices now, one for state and one for region. Now what's powerful about this is I can use these two slices together. So maybe I've got these states and I just want the South region, or I just want the North region, or I just want the East region. And within each region, I can now select. Now imagine if I had, a lot of different regions and a lot of different states. What if I had every single state in this list and I had just 4 regions? It would make it a whole lot easier if I just wanted the East region, just to pick the East region, and then I might only want a subset of those. That's very easy to do using slicers, much easier than if you try to select, go through the long list of states and try to select. So the region would narrow it down to the states in a region, and then within that region we can narrow down states. We can also use things to cut data different ways at the same time. And again, if we've got multiple pivot tables on the same screen at the same time, and they're all have, for instance, state and region as variables, we can tie these together so that when you change to a region, all the other tables and charts will change at the same time. So it's a really, really powerful and useful tool. Hopefully this was helpful, inserting slicers into pivot tables.